that's really uncomfortable, and that's the struggle I'm struggling with all my life, because I cannot be a sweet girl. So that's, for me, it was, oh man, I really noticed that it touches me as well, because it's so hard.
What is it about unconditionally giving that makes it such a challenge and vulnerable act, both for the giver and the receiver? Because you wanted to talk about this whole because that's what your whole philosophy is about, is giving, right? It's the give economy. And why is it so hard for us to receive and give?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's well, that's, for me, that's the essence of life. This question.
And it's not even 12 o'clock yet.
Hello, I didn't even have coffee yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me explain. Because it also has to do with something else that I did send you, and that is also, it has to do with being loving or being sweet, and
Yeah.
that's in Dutch. It's the same word, actually. So in Dutch,
Mm.
sweet is called lief, and loving is liefde. So it's like, it sounds like almost the same, liefde, but it's like a completely different, it has a completely different energy.
Oh,
And in
wow.
this world, yeah, and in this world where we are, the system that we live in, it is, you are valued, or at least for women are valued by being sweet, but
Yeah.
not by being loving. And loving is, yeah, so we dive into that a little later, but that's something to really remind, like, people see sweet as something like, valuable, that you behave well, that
Yeah.
you act normal, that you are kind, compassionate, not powerful, you're like, just on the surface, not jumping out, not letting yourself be seen. It's just, being sweet, the
The good
sweet
girl.
girl. That's like, and the good girl, exactly. That's
Yeah.
like the the thing that is being valued in the world.
Yeah.
Um, that's actually completely the opposite of being loving. And
Okay.
I have experience. I've done some research
Okay.
the past 10 years about that, because I was never a sweet girl. I was never the good girl. I also was not a bad girl, but I was fine, I was a social girl, but I had a very powerful, like, I'm very powerful,
Yeah.
and that's already not like sweet enough. You cannot be very outspoken and sweet. That's not a
That's true.
combination that you have. So I dived into it a lot. Like, okay, but first I thought, like, why am I not sweet? Why am I not being seen as a sweet girl? Because I am very loving. I know that I have a very, very loving intention with the
Mm.
things that I see and the things that I do. So why is it not being seen as sweet? Because for me it is sweet, actually. Because loving and sweet for me is the same thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, true.
but in the system it's completely not. It's completely opposite, actually.
That,
So for
yeah.
me that was really, yeah, that was really an interesting story to dive into. Like, okay, so I'm not being seen as sweet, but I am very loving. Um and then you come to the point of, so, but the loving part, that's actually that is where the unconditional part is, the unconditional giving part.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to be sweet, I don't have to be liked, I just want to be honest. I don't have to be a good girl, I want to be like a powerful girl that brings good into the world, but that's not always sweet.
Oh, it's such a conflict, isn't it? It's such I love that you'd put up that topic because it's like, yeah, why is it not? Yeah, just because you're honest, you're not sweet then, because you are not, you're not pampering somebody's feelings then.
Exactly. Yeah. and
Mm.
and, and as you say, you're not pampering someone's feeling, but that's actually really interesting, because in a way I am. No, I'm not really pampering someone's feelings, but I'm going to the real feeling with being unconditional. unconditional loving, unconditional giving, unconditionally honest, you are going to the real feelings. But being a sweet girl, you never touch the real feelings. You always stay like on the surface. You never go in. So you never will touch pain. You never will touch trauma, and everything stays exactly like it is. Everyone's sweet, happy, but that's not the real deal. That's not why we are here.
No, because
We have to
in that way
dig
you
deeper.
not learn from each other, right? You don't you because I have to say I'm a little bit much more the sweet girl. I'm good at pampering people. and but I would love to, but I also have a quite honest side to me, but I'm good at putting Nutella on it, like I always say, making it, the truth taste a little bit better. But
Yeah,
I can see it right now with one of my new neighbors here, where I feel like I need to not pamper her anymore, but actually go into the core of saying, honey, it's time to change things up here. But then, then I'm so scared of what happens when I'm then gonna be honest with her.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's the pain. There's the pain.
Yeah, because
That's
then you suddenly vulnerable, she will be vulnerable, and will you go into that discussion even, or do you
yeah,
do you want to go that far? It's also a good
yeah,
question.
exactly. Exactly. And you don't want to go that far with everybody, It's like you also have to make like conscious choices, like, okay, is this really worth it? And the scary thing is that we live in a not vulnerable world. So I mean, in the world, the system, it is not vulnerable. There you're not supposed to have pain. So everyone is moving away from the pain, moving away from
Mm.
the vulnerability. So if you are vulnerable, and being honest is always being vulnerable, you never know what you're going to get. You never know how your neighbor will react. Will she become vulnerable too? Because that's the invitation that you're doing, that you're
Yeah.
giving her, by being vulnerable yourself. But you never know if she will take the invitation.
No.
Maybe she is not ready, and she will not go to her pain. She's not ready to open up. So then, you never know what you're going to get. Maybe you will end up in a fight. So that's really uncomfortable, and that's the struggle I'm struggling with all my life, because I cannot be a sweet girl. So that's, for me, it was, oh man, I really noticed that it touches me as well, because it's so hard.
That's okay, Petra.
it's it's been so hard to not being able to be a sweet girl, because who am I? Like, it feels like there's no place for me in that world, because I am not a sweet girl. I am not an introvert. I'm not, I am the one that's the power that I have. That's making me,
Yeah.
and almost I cannot ventilate it, because people are just not, yeah, people are just too uncomfortable with the truth. So
Yeah,
that's been really, really hard for me.
I completely understand. I think it's thank you for sharing that. And I think it's hard for many people because we are so conditioned nowadays to, yeah, like you said, moving away from the uncomfortably feelings we have, even with crying, right? That is such a hard thing for me, to open up and just cry. This because it's, oh no, you don't do that. Sweet
Yeah.
girls stay happy and blah blah blah. But
They pretend, yeah.
I'm I'm so glad you're bringing this to the table, because I think we need to talk about this a little bit more. How is it then when you, oh, I don't know, it's such a good topic, but how is it then when you can't, if you just naturally honest,
Yeah, exactly.
but that doesn't work in a world
Exactly.
of pretending, because that's
Exactly.
all we do.
Exactly, because almost everyone feels uncomfortable around me when I'm really myself. I know that like 95% of the people feels uncomfortable. If I really would say what I have to say, if I really would be honest, if I really would just act the way that I really feel,
Yeah.
yeah, no one feels comfortable around me. That's really like a very hard thing, actually.
How did you experience that? Like, where did that come to surface? Like, do you have like a recent example or something like that? You know, where
Not,
you
yeah, yeah, not really recent anymore, because for me there a lot changed when I met my husband Robert, because he's completely the opposite. Actually, I mean, he in a way he is very honest and he's very straight, but he's very introvert, so he doesn't have the natural need or feeling to express his honesty by talking.
mm,
So he is honest, but it's much more in a way like he's just acting completely from his own core. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have the need to help others with the honesty. Actually, in
yeah,
by talking or by conversation or by discussion. Um, so I felt like this all my life, but of course, but um, I I just thought there was something wrong with me until I met Robert. And then I knew, okay, I'm not the problem. The world is the problem.
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I that's really what happened, because so I had a burnout, I had a depression, and it was in the core, it was all about me not fitting in, me feeling a lot of things that I cannot communicate, that I cannot talk about, that I cannot say, that I cannot just scream, or I cannot put it out in the world. So then I just kept on coming back to me, like, okay, but then no one, everyone is sweet, everyone's nice, everyone's pretending. And in a way I knew that it was pretending, but still I had no I had nothing to hold on to yeah to I don't know how to say it,
No word, no, like no
to
words
come to
to
peace for myself, in a way. Like, it was always a struggle.
yeah,
I am not sweet. I know that I'm not sweet. I cannot pretend that I'm sweet. I never tried. I was always vulnerable. That's what I felt. I'm always vulnerable. So I always stayed myself in a way, but in the struggle with the world. And then I met Robert, and then he told me, but you're just fine as you are. The world is a problem. The system, how we are all not going towards pain, how we are all not vulnerable. That's the problem. You are not the problem. You
yeah.
are actually the solution.
Oh, that's so sweet. But
Yeah,
it's
but it is true, actually. I mean,
yeah,
so
yeah, because I do
that's what,
feel also that I actually just had a conversation with another neighbor yesterday about this, like talking about, you know, how to, yeah, just being vulnerable and talking about more openly of this. She just became a mother not long ago, and just being talking about all this struggle that comes with that, and where we have to pretend to be this perfect mother who can bake and do all the stuff at once, and and it just dawned on me really, like how much we are not sharing with each other, how much we are just pretending to be okay, right? Like and not reaching out to talk about the painful stuff in life. And even now I'm going a little bit deeper here, because you were there for me when I had my miscarriage, right? And you
yeah,
dared to actually come over and just sit and talk about it. And I think that was such a beautiful moment. Thank you. And thank you so much for that, by the way. Because
you're
again, it
welcome.
was, if this was my first time having like a miscarriage in a campground in
Yeah,
the middle of my taco dinner. And and believing that I'm the only one that ever experienced this. And then, you come over, and Nadine was there as well. But yeah, maybe it's not like, yeah, but I do feel like, yeah, how do we then go from here, like finding
yeah,
out that it is okay to talk about the vulnerable feelings, because it's one thing, it's being honest and can help people say, but why are you not doing this, or I think this. But also it's hard for the receiver, right? Like, how,
yeah,
because we never dealt with anybody who allowed us to be vulnerable.
yeah,
Vulnerable.
yeah,
What a word.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that is really hard question, especially for me, because I always am vulnerable, that's just the way that I am. So I don't know how to become vulnerable again if you have moved away from the vulnerability, because I never did that. So but it has to do, I know that it has to do with pain, like just letting the pain be there. And that is really, really hard, because especially when you have been vulnerable and you have experienced pain. Of course, we all have experienced pain
Yes.
and trauma, we live in a world that, so but it is really hard if you have experienced that and you have moved away from the pain. Then it is there, and you're pretending that it's not there. And by pretending that it's not there, it's making it even worse. It's making, like, you become so fearful of actually going back to the pain,
Yeah.
because you haven't been there for a long time. So it's only grow in your mind like a huge pile of shit where you have to go through. Um,
Shit pile.
so yeah, but it is. You have to go to the shit, So you have to go there. And that's there's no, and that's what we experience, and I experience a lot. People want to have like a shortcut. They keep on looking for like a shortcut. So
Hmm.
they become vulnerable without first having to go to the pile of shit, That's not gonna happen. You have to go there. You have to go to the pain, have to go to the trauma, you have to. And also seeing what really helped me, becoming more and more powerful, because that's also something.
Hmm.
When you're not vulnerable, you're not powerful. It's really that simple. I mean, Brene Brown, I don't know if you heard about her
Oh,
or you
yeah,
read
yeah.
her
I love
book.
that woman. Yeah.
She's so good in explaining it. So that's really like a tip for everyone who's watching now. Find some books or videos of Brene Brown. She's awesome. It's true what she says. Like, without vulnerability, there is no power. You have to,
Hmm.
because power also comes from the whole, like the complete human being, not only from being happy or being, no, it also comes from being sad and being in pain and knowing how to deal with it, and that makes you a complete person, and that's where the power comes from. So one thing that helped me, yeah, finding my power, or reclaiming my power, is that I noticed that it's not, like, pain is almost never a personal thing. It's always a systematic thing. Like,
Hmm.
um if pain would just be able to be there, it wouldn't hurt. You wouldn't call it pain. You would just call it an experience. Or, so the fact that you are not
Hmm.
able to actually feel it makes it painful. So and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
there comes, like, system, because of, in the system, you cannot be vulnerable. You cannot feel pain. You have to act that there's no pain at all.
Yeah.
That makes it actually really painful.
It does.
So yeah.
It
So
does.
yeah, that's where, if you let go of the resistance, then it is not that painful, actually. If you have a painful experience, but you let go and you just can receive, actually, the experience, then the pain just goes away. And then you can still be hurt, but that's not painful. If the hurt can just be there, it's just hurt.
Yeah.
It's sad, it's happiness, but then it's real, and then it's fine. That's just part of life. And then you become just a whole person with everything that is there, and that's
Yeah.
fine. You don't have to resist anything.
That is so beautiful because I have a story on that actually. I went many years ago. I went to a silent retreat here in Denmark, and so we couldn't speak for one day, and we were doing like we did meditations, we did some yoga, we did some walk in nature, and we were eating in silence. And then by the end of the day, we of course had to talk again, and we had to tell the teacher how we felt. And I think over 50% of the women were so much in physical pain because they were for the first time feeling themselves. And
Yeah.
I was so touched by this because we so not only are we not allowed to be, vulnerable in this world and feeling all the feelings, but we also we also distract ourselves from it nowadays
Yeah.
even more, right? Because we are not in silence at all.
No,
And I just
exactly.
thought that was such a experience to see that they actually, the feelings they were supposed to feel caused them physical pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
yep, and it always it makes me remind me of the movie that I don't is it a Pixel movie or something like that where the main character, it's for children, but the main character, her name is Joy, and she has all the colorful balls, so the feelings are balls.
Oh
And
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I know the pic. What's it called?
yeah,
Inside Out.
Inside
Inside
Out.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's exactly, I feel like that's exactly what you're talking about, because that is the little girl, like, keeps all her feelings in because she doesn't want to make her parents sad, right?
yeah.
And then in the end she burns out. I don't remember the whole thing. I have to watch it again. But that is actually in the sense what you're explaining, I feel like.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, because there is exactly the system is that you have to be a sweet, good girl to your parents, to your teachers, to everyone around you, to the world, to the system. You have to be a good girl. Good girls don't get mad. Good girls don't get sad. You're not bothering
Mm.
anyone with your whatever is going on that is not good, not sweet. Oh, you just all keep it inside. Yeah. And that's the resistance. And that's where actually, as you said, that's also where a lot of physical pain comes from, because you're not a whole person. You're not like a holistic thing anymore. You're just like
A robot.
shut up. You're half of your thing that you are. It's just not
Yeah.
there. Well, it is there, but it's not supposed to be there, because that's the funny thing. It's not really, of course, you cannot really take it away. It is there, but and you feel that it's there, but you never are able to really go there, because that's only like a burden.
It's
So
fascinating, isn't it? Like, where do you think this comes from? I'm always wondering, because it's of course not the first time I'm talking about, because I've been struggling with this shit as well. Because I'm one
yeah,
big Nutella jar, I'm always trying to be nice and not, I always had to watch over not hurting my mom, shit. Oh my God, I think my dad is angry today. So I'm just playing the funny girl. And, but I'm just wondering if it's just our culture, because I'm just wondering how is it in other cultures, like in the Amazon or in the tribes. I'm just wondering why we got more and more sipped up. I
yeah,
don't have the
because
answer.
I do.
You do. Good.
Well, partly maybe not maybe not completely the completely the answer, but partly it is because we are working against nature. So we are so distracted from nature.
Yeah.
So of course also distracted from our own nature. I mean, that's the same. So tribes who live in the Amazon, or are in the core very close to their own nature, because
Mm.
they're to nature, so they have to deal with everything that comes on. They cannot say, oh no, this is too painful, I'm not going to go there, because then that's the only solution, actually, to actually go there.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know what? When you just said that, I feel like that is the same thing with van life. Because if me and Jens freaking had a fight or we were angry at each other, there was nowhere to go. You just had to fucking deal with your shit in the four, corners of
Yeah,
that little tin can you live in. And
yeah,
and I always saying to couples, if you really want to have a loving relationship, buy a van and live in it for one
yeah.
year with your partner.
Exactly.
Because
No,
then you have to, because it's such a simple thing, because then you just you cannot go for a whole week not talking together, because you have to move the van, or you have to change the toilet, or all the shit. And or
yeah,
even with children, right? It's like you can't, for you have to, you
yeah.
cannot just send them off somewhere, and then you know you
Well, you
have to.
can actually. That's what a lot of people do, actually.
Yeah,
That's
but I
what.
think for you in the van, that's what I was thinking. You have to deal with the situation with your children, with your husband.
Yeah.
at the campground. There's nothing to do. You
Yeah,
ever in a yeah.
that's also a conscious choice. I mean, we meet a lot of families who send their kids away. Like no matter where they are, no matter if they move away, like after a week again, they go to school. They have to because they have to, they have to send them away and teach them how to be sweet persons, sweet people.
Yeah.
So people are just not willing to give in. They're not willing to. There's no peace. There's no silence, as you says. There's no tranquility. It's just there's nothing that is really natural. It's only people are only in their heads thinking that if they organize it in this and this and in this way, only the happiness will stay and the rest will be gone forever. But it's not how it works. It's not gone. You have to deal with it one time
Exactly.
or another. So better deal with it now while it's not a really big pile, but only like a small amount, instead of waiting for years and years. And then you have to go to it. And then it's a big pile because everything you just throw up,
Indeed.
the garbage bin. But the garbage bin is never emptied because you're the only one who can empty it. So
Exactly. And I remember this so much when I came to Bali and had to, I thought, I had my accident and I came there because I was so depressed and fucked. And I thought, okay, if I just, I knew I needed to deal with the whole situation about the accident. But when
yeah,
that was kind of through, then the shit show started. I was like, holy fucking moly, what did I get myself into? Because it was just layers and layers of dirt and shit and beliefs and thoughts about, what society had put on me, what, the teachers, my parents, like everything. Like it was just one big shit show, I tell you, Petra. That was, oh my God. And
yeah.
and it's still like I would just have loved to understood how to deal with my feelings in a younger age, but I was just a teenager. I was just a weird one. It's like
Yeah.
uh, I know it's of course also because your parents didn't know, right? They didn't have
No,
any
no,
to or
they had
mine.
no idea. No, mine either. No, 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 that's true. I mean, almost no one knows this because the system is so strong and the patterns in the system are so strong that everyone is just. I mean, that's why people are. Yeah, but that's. I mean, that's the main reason why people are so unhappy nowadays. Why there are so many burnouts because people have no idea, but still they feel that it's not right. They feel that it's like it's not. It's not
Mm,
feeling. It's not feeling good. It's not feeling really happy. They feel that it is pretending, but they have no idea where to look or where to search for the real deal because
yeah,
no one is actually telling them, and they are just keep being pointed in the direction of happiness or everything that is outside yourself, but you have to go in, and that's really painful. But
it is.
it's only painful because has been made painful. You are not pain. You are a beautiful creature,
Yeah,
but only the layers are there to prevent you from feeling that you are a beautiful creature. But that's only the system telling you that you are never, because
enough.
that's also a strong pattern in the system that you're never enough. That's
Yeah,
that's what we sometime before in the other podcast, like you're just never enough, but you are enough. You are born as a whole person,
mm,
being able, and you are strong enough to feel pain and to experience sadness. That's all completely normal and
mm.
natural. Of course you are made to just being able to deal with it, but you're not able to you're not made to be able to deal with not feeling the pain, actually. So that is actually, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I was just like, yeah. So you say it again.
okay, so you were born, and then nature made you in a way to experience pain, to experience sadness, to experience happiness, to experience loss. It's just all you are made
Mm.
to you're able to deal with that in a natural, if you
Yeah,
are, feel, but the system is saying that you are not able to deal with that, so you have to push it away because you're not strong enough to deal with loss. You're not strong enough to deal with sadness. You're not strong enough to deal with grief. So just push it away. You're not there yet, you know.
I
But you
like that.
are.
Yeah, we, and you know what? And that's where marketing comes in, right? Just in a second, it makes sense because because from a very young age on, you then, okay, but you're not good enough. But if you just put this lipstick on, or you're not good enough if you just, you just get the right grades in school or have the right clothes on, and already from there, right? It's just that is
Yeah.
kind of a quite big shit show then.
Yeah, it is. And that's actually also answering like why is it hard to be vulnerable? Because,
Yeah.
and in my personal experience, because I just tell people in whatever I say, in whatever I do, I always give them the feeling that I'm good enough. I don't need makeup. I don't
Yeah.
need a good grades. I don't need a career. I'm valuable as a person. And for other people who believe that you are never good enough, that's just so completely arrogant. Like, how can you feel that you are good enough as a person? Who are you to put that in the world? So powerful and so strong. That's just, that's just, people just don't want to feel that because it's so, actually they find it very painful that there
Mm,
is at least one person in the world who finds herself good enough, because that
yeah.
breaks the whole story. It breaks the story. Only
And
one person can break
the
it.
marketing budget. How can they make
Exactly.
money on you?
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
What I'm thinking about when you're saying that, because I know that, or yeah, you say that definitely you didn't learn this from childhood on. How do you do it differently with your children? How do you instill them? Because I know you have a beautiful daughter and a little nice, beautiful son. And I know, like, how do you help them from the get-go on?
Yeah.
Like, because it's one thing, because I know that you're born just perfect as you are, but we have this whole environment around us that can make you feel like you're just not good enough. So, and we can also not protect them the rest of our life for that. But I think from until they are 7 or something, I heard that somewhere, you really need to hardly instill this I'm good enough, the confidence. And so yeah, how do you
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
you
So two things, actually, two things that we do very consciously is we're not sending them to school. So we're not sending them 7 or 8 hours a day to an environment that is telling them that they're not good enough. So that's really a very important thing for us.
yeah.
So we have that 7 or 8 hours that they normally go to school to tell them that they're not good enough. We share those hours with them to tell them that they are good enough. So that's really a very powerful choice.
Yeah.
And that is very is very different, I think, than for example how I was raised, is that we make a very, very clear cut on behavior and who they are. So that's, for us, that's a completely
Okay.
different aspect. They are who they are. They are perfect the way they are born, and we're not changing anything on that part.
Mm.
And they also have behavior. And sometimes the behavior is not who they really are. So sometimes they lack something. So, for example, especially Doris, when she's hungry or thirsty or tired, she's starting to behave instead of being who she is. So
Mm.
she has different behavior than who she actually is. So for example, she's a very free giving girl. She's very social. She's very loving, very powerful, in her way with interaction. Also with her little brother, Isa.
I love him.
But
Sorry.
sometimes when she's hungry, for example,
Yeah.
she's saying, "No, Isa, I don't want you to play with my toy," for example. And then we know, okay, that's not Doris, because we already, detected, like, Doris is a free giving girl. So if she in free giving is not, I don't want you to play with my toy. So that's behavior. And
Mm.
then we see the behavior, and we are not and we are looking for, okay, but why is she not herself? Why is she behaving like this and not herself? Okay, probably she's hungry, she's thirsty, or she needs some rest, or she needs something to become herself again. So that is actually what we're doing like all day. And some days she is just herself, or they are just themselves, and they're really in the flow of life, and it's all good. Some days it's more behavior, and then you have to find out, okay, why are they behaving like that? So that is actually, yeah, that's for us. That's really it works very, very, very good actually.
Okay.
Um, and the third thing that we also see differently and also do differently, as I was when I was a little girl, I was very, very scared. I had a lot of anxieties, especially during the night when I had to go to sleep. I was afraid of anything. I mean, I was during the day I was afraid of animals, dogs, but during the night I was afraid that our house got on fire, or there was a burglar, or anything. Every day it was a different fear, but yeah, I was just very fearful. Um, and Doris also sometimes has that during the night, that she's afraid, and then she says, "I have some yeah, some evil thoughts." She calls it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the funny thing is, it has nothing to do with being afraid actually of a burglar or our camper getting on fire, or it's only that her brain is just too tired. And
Yeah.
then the fear comes up. The fear of the world that is everywhere around us comes up in her brain. So the only solution is going to sleep.
Yeah.
And that is, it's a bit similar as what you said about the silence retreat. Like, you just have to shut your brain down. You don't have to believe everything that your brain is telling you. It's not a serious fear. She's not really being fearful. She just has weird thoughts in her brain because she's too tired. Just
Yeah.
go to sleep. And she's never fearful in the morning. Never. So just that's what I tell her. Like, you've been here before. Tomorrow morning, you feel great again. And actually she does. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like going deeper into not taking everything that you think so serious. It's not there to guide you. It's a symptom of something that is not right. And that's
Mm.
just being exhausted, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going a little bit back to the basic needs, actually, when I mean like the basic needs of the body,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
can also, yeah, it can, yeah, and can create a lot of different chemicals in your brains and in the body in general. So you feel like
yeah,
more anxiety, and we already know that even with if you take too much, if you drink too much coffee or sugar or something like that, it turns you into a kind of a different person if you sensitive to that stuff. And so it's not, yeah, like you said, it's not like the real you, it's the coffee monster.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes we call it like that. It's
Yeah.
like there's another door because she has like a big piece of cake. It's the sugar Doris.
It's
There she is.
exactly, and what that doesn't do to the brain, right? Like, and to the gut, which is first brain, and it
Yeah,
sends you on a roller coaster. We all know that. We already all had too much cake, didn't we?
yeah, of course. That's
Why
also
wouldn't
part of
you?
life.
Why? Yeah, exactly. That's the
Yeah,
best
and
part of life.
yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, and for us, so for us, it's really important, and that's also about maybe going back to the uncomfortably honest part. Like, for us, the solution about that is not giving them never giving them cake again, because that's not life. Life
Mm,
is about explaining, being completely honest. No, cake is not, it's not good for you, but it's really good. It's really tasteful.
yeah,
But you don't have to eat apples and bananas every time. No, that for us, that is being really honest. Like, okay, of course you want cake. Sure, you can have cake, but not
yeah,
every day. If you have cake, you can feel after an hour. When the first hour you feel super good, and after 1 hour you just crash completely. Yeah, that's what can happen if you have cake. But
yeah,
we already taught it to our children, and they are now 7 and 3 years old. Yeah, that's just for us. That's just dealing, like, just bringing the real deal, just not holding stuff back, or because they are too small, or they wouldn't understand, or no, they understand.
Exactly, and I'm glad you're saying that, because I think also a lot of parents may be holding feelings back that they are feeling from their children because they feel like they are not old enough to understand. But I think we underestimate energies. Like every child, I even heard, this is so crazy. I don't know if I can explain it proper, but when you give birth as a mom, you of course there will be there was like some well, the child is made from you and your material, like your body, right? And so you
Yeah,
will, there's no, you're so connected to them that they will feel all your energies. And it's like crazy. Even your baby is in another room, you can't hear it, but you
yeah,
will wake up when they cry. And
yeah,
so even that powerful like feeling of energy between the mother and the children, and then not thinking, just because you don't tell them anything, they don't
yeah,
know that something is off.
exactly. And that's also, well, and that's just being, so we are being honest, but that's also, if you're not being honest about it, that's something that you create the system, or you participate in the system that is there now. That is already starting the pain,
Mm.
because when my kid feels something, and I say, no, no, nothing's going on, it's all fine, I learned them that pretending is the way to go, and
Yeah,
it's not the way to go. I
true.
better can tell them, yeah, that's true, you feel it, right, because I feel shitty, I'm
Yeah,
sad because something happened, and then they're, because our kids are very used to it. I mean, I when I cry, if they're around or not. I don't really care. I don't care at all. Like, if I have to cry, I have to cry, and if they see that, yeah, that's fine. Why would I care about it? Like, I don't have to pretend that I never cry, or that I'm never sad. It's just all there. And then they, most of the time, they come to me, and then my boy Isa, he always says, "We will take care of you, mommy. We will take care of you." Yeah, that's enough. What, you
what more
know,
what more do you want?
perfect response. If he would say that to everyone who's crying, yeah, he's making the world a more beautiful place. So
Well, he already does.
yeah,
A question came to mind when you were talking. Like,
yeah,
what did you then? Because one thing is like guiding and teaching our children with handling what's coming up and making them understand the world around us. But what did you learn from them? Did you see? Because I think that is always so special. The other way around, because they are not as they are right now. They are still like, those perfect, beautiful human beings who came in here and doesn't understand the whole world yet, luckily.
yeah.
So what did you learn from them?
Well, uh, from both of them, I learned something completely different, or I learned more than one thing, I think, from them. But from Doris, our daughter, she's 7. I learned, or not really learned, but I got. She's just a really good, really great mirror to look into, and it's
Mm.
funny because in the other world, calling your kids a mirror is most of the time is being negative. So my kids is a mirror. That means that I have to, you know, learn something from them that I didn't see before, or like
Mm.
it's always like a negative, has a negative tone. But for me, Doris is like a beautiful mirror in a positive way, because she is very, very honest, and very powerful. She's not the sweet girl, just like I'm not.
Yeah.
And I love her so much, and people who meet her love her so much. So you don't have to be a sweet girl to be a lovable girl. So that was, for me, that was really like, yes, okay,
Ah, yeah.
there are,
Okay.
yeah,
I see what you
and
mean
and
now. Yeah.
and the funny thing is, because she is so loving, she is actually also very sweet, but she's not behaving sweet. She is sweet by being her powerful social self, but it's not like the sweet girl that we talked about in the beginning of the podcast,
Mm.
the behaving sweet. She's
Yeah.
not behaving at all. She's just who she is. And they're actually,
Yeah.
so for me, she is maybe the example of loving and sweet coming together in one person.
That's so beautiful. Because that is the distinction, right? It is the thing, like the sweet girl, if you just are sweet and not
Exactly.
pretending to be
No,
because you think
exactly.
you
You have
have
to be.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference between behaving and being actually sweet. I mean,
Yeah,
you are a sweet. You are sweet. You even if you would not pretend to be sweet, you are still a
sweet.
sweet person
Yeah,
because that's just your character. You're introvert. I mean, I would call you a sweet person, but not because you are behaving or doing a good job in behaving or pretending that you're sweet, but just who you are. That's what would be left of you. Also, if you would not pretend,
exactly. And I
because
think maybe you can kind of I was just thinking a good thought. If it takes a lot of energy from you to be sweet and you get tired of it, then I would say maybe it could be the wrong kind of sweet. It's like
yeah,
the learned behavioral sweet. And if you
exactly,
sweet and happy, from the core, it
yeah,
it that it doesn't require an energy. Will that make
exactly.
sense? In a sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And then still, there is, I think, in this world, it is a challenge to, even if you are sweet, to become more powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Um, because then the biggest fear, of course, if you are really sweet, is to that other people don't find you sweet anymore. So even when it is coming from your core and who you really are, it is a challenge to become more powerful in the sweetness in this world, because
Yeah.
power is not required, or sweet is not required being powerful. So there's like a paradox in that. But yeah, being sweet can be very powerful as well. So that is something that the world has to adjust to
I
or
just
learn.
too. And when you say powerful, what do you mean by that? Like because powerful can mean different things to different people, but what does it mean what does it mean for you, the word
Well, I
powerful?
think for me, that's one of the reason I wanted to love to talk to you in this podcast. For me, powerful is always requires some uncomfortable. How do you say it? Uncomfortableness? No, I don't know. Requires some, being able to be uncomfortable. Yeah, so being on, for me, my power, I mean, of course, it depends on who you are, but my
Mm,
power is to be unconditionally honest, and
yeah.
that is the greatest gift that I have, to help people to go to the pain instead of moving away and pretending that it is not there. So I'm always reaching out and inviting and challenging people in the way that I am, to challenging and reaching out to people to go to the pain, go through the pain, and become who they really are, without the behavior, without the patterns, without the traumas. So that's my biggest power. That's my biggest gift. But yeah, your power, of course, is something different.
Yeah. What is
So it
then
depends on who you
the Yeah, of course. What has your biggest um uncomfortably honest situation or shit show been? Like, what is something what shit shuffling did you have to do? What is something you had to move through, like from?
are. That's yeah. Almost nothing, because I because I am also I've always been vulnerable. There was
Mm,
no point of it, because I always go through the pain immediately, so it never piled up. So that's the interesting thing about it. And that's, for people, that's really like, wow, that's also an arrogant thing to say. Like, oh, people find that arrogant, but that's how vulnerability works. If you are constantly vulnerable, it never piles up the shit, because you just it
yeah,
hurts, you go through it, and then it's gone again.
yeah,
That can be like one day, or maybe 2 days or three, or when it's really painful, it takes a week. But then after the week, it is gone again. It's not piled up. So I mean, I have been in very painful situation because
mm,
of actually because of being vulnerable. Yeah, because other people, no, actually almost no one understands what I'm saying when I'm telling this. Like, because they don't see me as vulnerable, they see me as annoying. So it's
Yeah, they see you as maybe almost as rude. Rude, is that the good word?
yeah,
Or because
harsh.
you
They call me
harsh.
harsh. Yeah,
Harsh is a good
yeah,
word. Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. It is.
How do you feel like, because I want to like know a little bit more about how do you um where do you meet that? Do you so how do you feel that the person feels like that you are too harsh or too honest or too vulnerable? Like, do you what reactions do you get? Does that make sense? Did it make
Well,
sense?
so, some people call me harsh or rude or arrogant or
Do they say it?
yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And some people don't actually use the word, but you just feel that they are completely shut off. Like they are, it's in a way, it's very simple. Like, look, people who are vulnerable themselves, I can just have really, they will never call me harsh because they are vulnerable themselves. They are open as well. So for them, it is not uncomfortable,
Mm.
uh, me being honest because they have an open heart. They have nothing to shut off. So
Mm.
with you, for example, I can just talk very open because you don't have to, you don't have nothing to protect. You don't have any pain that I cannot touch.
No.
And the people who have pain, I just feel
Ah.
that they are not open. And sometimes they defend themselves by saying, you are an egoist, you are arrogant, you're selfish, you're harsh, you're a terrible person. And then I know, okay, they have pain that I almost touched, and I got too close. Okay, never mind.
See you
And
later.
sometimes, yeah, exactly. Like, okay, you come to me if you're ready, and if you never come, that's also fine. Yeah,
Okay. That is okay. That makes it more easier for me to understand because I never had the feeling with you in that sense. I never had like I know that you were honest and stuff and we could talk about things, but I never had like I never felt that I never felt it rudeness
no, because
on
you're
the
honest too.
yeah.
So that makes that's the connection.
Yeah. That's why I had
You're
to ask because I didn't feel like we had this
no,
anything.
no,
So
no, no. That's also funny because that's why I'm able to talk to you about this now. If you would have a piece that I could not touch, I would never be able to tell you this. I can only
mm,
talk to people about this who are receiving, who are able to receive this story and to
yeah.
not make it a personal story about them or no, it's just this is just who I am and this is what I have to say and you are able to receive it. And everyone who is not vulnerable, who has a closed heart, who is shutting off their own pain, yeah, is not able to receive this or me.
Yeah. It makes so much sense now from the beginning on as well. And I feel like maybe I've been also carrying around that a little bit because I always was seeking like more honesty. Well, the Uncomfortably Honest podcast. Do you know how long it took for me to actually say the word? Do you know how much I trained to say uncomfortably honest? Anyways,
That's a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, yeah.
it was like,
Uncom-
and I just recently learned how to spell it as well. But yeah,
I
because
don't-
I feel
most
like I
important
was,
thing is to live it. So
sorry, say it again.
most important thing is to live it. So
Yeah, exactly. Fuck the rest. No, but I feel like really this is because I'm always about I want to find the truth and my mission is here to like open up to for the real person to be seen, right? Because I always
yeah,
felt like I was fucking lied to in a sense. I say to
yeah,
Jens, I love you, but that's not first on my list. Is you have to be freaking honest. Otherwise, I can't don't have
yeah,
any secrets for me because I can feel it. And I
yeah,
always felt like I was lied to by my parents, by my teachers, by my friends, because not all of them, of course, and not in all situations, but just that there's this, oh no, really, am I the only one that feels this way, right? Like, hello? Yeah.
Yeah, and in a way you are lied to, and in a way you are not, because they are not consciously lying to you. They just are part of the system that is pretending that it's all good and fine. And yeah, that's what you can have been feeling all your life. Like it's not, there's like a part that's been missing, you know. It's like
Yeah.
There's a whole part that cannot be there in the system or in those lives, but it is there. Why is no one telling me about that part, you know?
Exactly. And why, and that's why I think that movie we talked about earlier touched me so much, because it was so well explained. I will link it somewhere, because I think everybody should see it, because it's so simply explained. And well, it's a children's movie, so
but it is a great movie. Yeah, we've seen it a lot with Doris already. Yeah, amazing.
And it's but it's just, it starts from the beginning on, even like treating the boys and the girls differently. You know, boys don't cry, and girls are always sweet.
Yeah, and that's something, because I want to go back a little bit, because I was answering your question about what I learned from my kids. So I learned. Yeah, I had another thing that I learned from Isa. From Isa, I really learned that. I learned more from him than only one. But one thing I really learned from him that is actually that I am not sweet. That I'm not a sweet person. And maybe sweet is not exactly the word, but I mean, when I look at Isa, and it is a bit the same as Robert, but with Isa it's more powerful, because he's still a very young boy. He's so gentle. He's really a gentleman. And when I see him, I know that I don't have that power. I am not gentle. I'm a lot of other things, but gentle is just not in my character. And that was such a relief, because I'm like, I cannot pretend that I'm gentle, because I'm just not. Other people are, but I have another, I have something else to give to this world than being gentle. And that was such a relief. Like, everyone is different. Not everyone is sweet. Not everyone is gentle. Not everyone is uncomfortably honest. Everyone has their own power.
Yeah.
And that's, if you go to that power that you have to be really being yourself, then you bring something really beautiful to the world. But it has to be your own power, not the one that you have been taught or told to be or to have.
It's quite fascinating. When you're just saying that, I'm thinking about it, and this is just, it's not out of context, but it's like, Steve Jobs, right? He had like a certain power. He had a vision for this whole iPhone stuff and the iPad thing and all that, but he was also not a nice man, right? And everybody is like focusing much on, like, he was not a good family man. I was reading the article actually, but that was not why he was here, right? He was here to give in a different way, and trying to make him a superhuman, also being a great dad and being a nice human or whatever. It's just impossible, because we are here with all of our different like skills, and because otherwise the world and nature will not function. It's the same in nature. If you look at trees, if you look at the flowers that are coming now, they have like they are in a special way, because they need to nurture the soil for the next things to grow, right?
Exactly.
And
it's for me, it's also like when you say the word nice, for example. I mean, people call me not nice. Some people find me a not nice person, but if you really go through to the essence of life, I'm one of the nicest persons in the world, actually.
You
I
are.
mean, not
you're very kind. Nice.
I want people to be themselves. I mean, there's almost nothing nicer to to wish for people and help them become themselves again, so it's also like, yeah, what is nice, what is sweet, what is, it's also flattened in the system.
Mm.
It if you go really deep, yeah, then I'm pretty nice as well, but
Yeah.
not in a comfortable way. That's true.
I
Uncomfortably nice, maybe.
I wouldn't maybe I think I see you differently because I think
Yeah,
actually you're very kind and very sweet and very thoughtful and very generous. Um and honest. That is
yeah,
how I see you. Um yeah, very thoughtful, very kind and very sweet. That is yeah, I know you're not thinking sweet, but sweet maybe I have a different
yeah,
definition of sweet, but
yeah,
I just feel like all the stuff you did for me and how you thought about things doing yeah, well when we were traveling around because we met in all sorts of places, but
yeah,
it was just the thought was just always there. So I feel for me that's quite sweet and kind if
yeah,
people think about me,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. But that's because you don't have anything to hide from me. And if you have something to hide, then you don't want to have me around.
Maybe I want because I sometimes I think I like that. I do like the honesty because like I
Yeah,
said, oh God, I'm almost saying this in every podcast, but the woman I met in Bali who helped me to finally see that I need to shuffle my own shit and not blame
yeah,
anybody else. But she was so brutally honest, Petra.
yeah,
I was like, oof, I
yeah.
loved
Ouch.
her. I
Yeah,
loved her.
yeah. Either you love me or you hate me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I
But I mean, yeah,
we need
yeah,
you. We need you in this world
yeah,
to slap some ass, to wake people up. And if you, and I think also sometimes the medicine can be so bitter
yeah.
at that
Absolutely.
moment, but then years later you taste the sweetness of the fruit because, and I think also that is also your job here is like to give them the bitter medicine,
Yeah,
and then in 2 years' time they will think about you as the sweet flower, in a sense.
totally, totally. Yeah.
Because not all we cannot always see the gift right away. We cannot see
No,
it for what it is, right? I think um that's what I learned on my own journey because I was always seeking out older women, and I feel like they have a quite an honesty to them if they have been shuffling their own shit,
yeah,
and I felt like that is where I could breathe in honesty.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so important to be honest to yourself because that's actually where it starts, and also well, as you said before, like why are people not honest? Yeah, because you never know how the neighbor will respond, maybe she won't like you anymore. that
Mm.
is that is hard because you're living next door, you have to be, you have to see her maybe every day with, taking out the garbage or walking your dog, or you will see her. And being honest now can you know take away the connection that you think you have. And if you just don't say anything, you can just take out your garbage and see her every day and nothing is going on. But there is stuff going on, and
Yeah.
that's that's constantly the balance that you have to find. Like, okay, is this worth it to be honest, or is it just worth it to just move away? I mean, I do that sometimes. Like, if I'm not really in connection with someone, I'm like, okay, that's just not for me, let someone else take that on.
Yeah.
um
There's enough
just
people on this world.
Yeah, exactly. Then they will learn in another situation or from someone else. You're not responsible for other people's happiness or being honest, like pretending that I'm the only one who's being honest in this world. No, or being honest is the only solution. They will find their way in whatever they need. So also, it has a lot to do with focusing on yourself. Like, what is good for me? Is this good
Mm.
for me to be honest? Do I feel that there's potential in being honest and um having a better connection, or is being honest only ruining the connection that
Mm.
actually was not that good? Because if I'm being honest and it ruins the connection, then actually it means there is no connection because I cannot be myself. So, just constantly feeling like the balance, like, is it worth it, or will I just, move away, let it go, or just have small talk and whatever. It's only the neighbor, I don't have to save her. I don't. So that's also really, I think, a very important tip for
Yeah.
people who are watching. Like, you don't have to save the world. You don't have to save everyone with being uncomfortably honest constantly, because that's just not healthy for yourself. I know it is my superpower, but I don't have to live it like completely 100% of the time with everyone that I meet. No, it's about the balance.
Yeah. That is, yeah, because when do you, yeah, I think that is good point to make also. When do you go into something and when do you leave it? It's like you first have to, I think you first have to have a conversation with yourself and your feelings inside. Like, why is this so important to me to say to this
Yeah.
person, or what effects would it have on my world, in a
Yeah.
sense? Or what do you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, and it's also about, for me, it's because I've practiced a lot the past 10 years since I met Robert, in becoming more powerful and becoming aware of that I am uncomfortably honest for most people, that people find my honesty uncomfortable.
Hmm.
I don't, but other people do. So yeah, it's really also about feeling. So not only staying in your brain, but really feeling like, does it really have potential? Or is it just, do I just want to take it out on them now? Or, or is it really the potential of connection? Because that's actually what my intention always is with my honesty, is always finding a better connection with that person.
Yeah.
Because I I try to help the other person become more themselves. So if you are more yourself, then you are able to connect more and more with the outside world. So I mean, that's always my intention. But sometimes I already feel like it's then the potential is not there. It's just not the
Hmm.
moment. It's not the time. Maybe in a couple of years, or
Yeah.
and people know, and people. I mean, people know who I am. They are aware of who I am, or they can be aware if they, look at some podcast, or read some articles that I wrote. They can know who I am. So I mean, I'm open for them. I don't
Yeah.
have to go to them all the time. They can come to me. I am inviting, and if they want some uncomfortably
Comfortable.
honest advice, just write me an email or give me
I
a
will link
call.
it below.
That's I don't have to go there to them constantly. So
No, no. You know what? I was thinking, I couldn't stop thinking when you were saying this. How would how would this have been different if you were a man?
hell different. Oh man. Oh, that's a good one.
I was just like, how? Because yeah,
Completely different. No, yeah. That's oh man, that's so good that you bring this up. It's funny that you bring it up as well, because it's in my mind for the last 3 or 4 months. It constantly comes to my mind, like, man, if I would be a man, it would be so much easier.
yeah. Because then you wouldn't have, that would be nothing. There was no, because then you would be a respected man.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes it. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I cannot say anything about it. Yeah, that's true. It's just, but
ah,
this is, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got such a, like, a downward feeling, because it was, you were just saying something, and I thought, why? If she was a man, that there would be no questioning. There would be nothing. Nobody would say things that you're rude, or harsh, or anything like that. It's just
No, and I would be a very direct, powerful man. I would
yeah.
be, I would be a leader, and a leader, and yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Ah,
really harsh. Yeah.
it. Oh, can you feel it?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I already felt it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit. it's calm in my body, but yeah. And that's also something that I look back in different experiences in my life, the past couple of months, and then I see it so many times, like, oh man, if I would have been a boy or a man in that situation, yep, it would be a completely different story. And now I've been, because yeah, yeah, I've been put aside so many times for speaking up and being powerful and knowing exactly what I want, and then just yeah, not fitting in the image that people have of a sweet girl, and they yeah, exactly, and they like the man, they liked my passion, and they liked when I was a young entrepreneur. Oh man, I was, it was super interesting for them. But
Mm,
then I was like, okay, that's true, I am passionate and I'm a nice entrepreneur, and then I want to stand next to you on the same position as you. And then it was like, no way. I
yeah.
mean, you're a girl. You're supposed to be a sweet girl. Like, who are you? You have no experience. Yeah, I'm ready for this. And then it was like, it just never happened. Never, no one, no man ever gave me the position that I actually, um,
Could
that was
thrive.
meant for me.
Yeah.
Actually, no
Yeah,
one.
because that was what I was thinking now, because you would actually have like really gone up
Yeah,
corporate ladder, or what they say, like
yeah,
really being in a
absolutely.
high what do you
Yeah,
know, job position?
yeah,
No.
yeah. Like on the career ladder. Yeah,
Yeah, career
yeah,
ladder. Yeah. Because that is what they are looking for, right? They want the honesty, they want to have the clarity, the right yeah,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah,
You need to grow a penis.
yeah.
No.
No, I know. I need to change this.
Yeah. No, and I think that is no, why would you have one of those hanging around? But I think that is such a good topic. This
Yeah, yeah.
because that is so you yeah, I don't know even what to say, because that is the thing. If you were a man, this would be different. And I just had another podcast talking, because she's doing all the things on the internet with, because did you actually know that 90% of the female content creators online can't show themselves as women as men can? And then we was just having like a similar conversation.
Not
So they are not
surprised.
what?
I am not surprised.
They showed a study where there's a man standing in his jeans, and his upper body is naked. He's just a normal dude. And then he takes a bra, and it comes closer in, and and you can see the monitor says this is not allowed. And then he puts it on, and it goes up to 100%. And it's a man with a bra on. And so this means a lot of content creators can't online show the same thing as men do. It was just completely fascinating. But again, it's just here it's in the real world, right, where you are actually
Yeah.
having the qualities of honesty and being you know what you want, and you are not you don't have all the shit with you. You could actually
And even one more thing that's even better than all the men have, because I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for a better world. I
mm,
mean, and yeah, it's now, and it's as you say, it's everywhere. It's like, that's what I feel the past month. It's like in everything. I cannot even begin to explain. Like, it's just, it's almost like it is a natural thing that men are more important and more powerful and more being seen than women. It almost feels like a natural thing. Of course, it is not a natural thing. It is made up by men,
mm,
but because it's so, like, in every freaking detail of the system, in every
yeah,
conversation, like, it's everywhere. It's so hard to detect, because be, and you would say, because it's everywhere, it's easy to detect, but it's so hard to detect, because it's just like in every vein of the system. It is just like that, like it is a normal, natural thing.
it is. And it's like just coming back to my beloved topic, menstrual cycle awareness, it's like from 8 to 4 o'clock you have to work. So all the work days in the world are set up for man's testosterone. Oh, I can't say that word. I have to learn that too. But all the world is set up for the man cycle. They have a 24-hour cycle, and with the testosterone, and so because it peaks, in the morning and then it declines after 4 o'clock. So everything is set up for men. And when I heard that, that's where I became interested in the menstrual cycle awareness, because women are not like that, right? We have a completely different cycle. We go with the moon, the men are going with the sun, and that is one thing. But another thing is actually that it's the whole world. Every person are supposed to work from 8 to 4 or 5 or whatever, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And why I'm saying this is because you say it's so hard to see, because it should be obvious. It's not, but it's like you standing in the middle of the forest and can't see any trees, or whatever the saying is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a fish in the water.
Yeah.
They don't know what water is. They don't know what land is, because they're just completely surrounded by water. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea. They think that water is the only thing that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is time to change that up. So we there's a space for us in a different way, and we being honored, because it's not, I know for sure that I've been reading up on my history as well. This hasn't been always like that. It's like, it's just the latest, I think, 5,000 years or something, men became more and more powerful, but women were worshipped, right?
Yeah.
And what are men without a woman, right? We could just close our legs and there's no more men coming out of there.
Yeah.
And not to say that it has to be, men are all bad or anything. I don't want to go into that. It's just,
It's not about. Yeah, no, because I want to bring in a little nuance, because actually it is not even about men, because I am with a man who is not a man like that. As I said, like Isa, my boy, he is a gentleman. He's not thinking like a man. So a little nuance in this story, I find it very important, is it's about the male energy. So it is not about actually being a male in gender, but it's about the male energy, because what I see is how, for example, women are dealing with that patriarchy, is that you have women that adopt the male energy. So that's what I see in my surroundings, is that because it's so painful, and women also want to work on their career and also want to get on top of the ladder, they adopt literally the male energy. They start to think like a man, they start to act like a man, and then actually it works. You get women on top of or they become a CEO or on a big in a big company, or it works. But that's not female energy. They're not bringing anything new to the table besides more of the male energy, because they have adopted it so well that they can be in that system. And the other thing that I see happening with women is that they are completely redrawing themselves from the male energy. So they start women's circles, and they start completely focusing on the females, not the female energy, but females, because I'm in a women's circle, even a man like Robert or Isa would not be allowed because he's a man. So that's also an unnatural thing to do. So it is, the nuance about energy is very, very important. For me, there's only one real solution, is to stay in this world and be yourself as a woman. So not withdrawing and not completely trying to adapt to all the standards that are there, but just, this is who I am, and this is what I have to give. Yeah, and I am a woman.
Exactly. I think it's really about finding into the core of yourself and peeling off the layers of society norms, right? Or whatever we have been taught. And and whatever gender, whatever you think of, but who are you at the core?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
gender doesn't really even matter. And then you come back to the title of the podcast. Yeah, that is, of course, that's uncomfortable because it's a system is telling you constantly that you are not supposed to do that. So it is uncomfortable, but that's exactly where you have to go. Go to
Yeah.
the uncomfortable feeling. That's the um how do you say it? That's the arrow, that's pointing where you should be. That's where it's uncomfortable. Yep, that's where I have to go. Otherwise, nothing will ever change.
No, that is
Yeah,
so true. Follow the uncomfortably feelings, and I
yeah,
think that unlocks the power within yourself. They even say that when if you what you're most fearful of and what scares you the most, follow that, and you find gold behind the rainbow, right, or whatever the saying is.
yeah,
But I have a
yeah.
different question for you. No, everybody's fearing. No, I don't think they feared. But tell me something that is true for you that almost nobody else agrees with you on.
Something that for me is true that no one else agrees.
Almost nobody else.
No.
Yeah. It could be something
It's
you
interesting because
sorry.
so many things come to mind. It's not that nothing is coming to mind, but so many so many things that I don't know which one.
Pick the one that will disturb this listener most. Like what's something that is shaking
Exactly.
things up.
Well, if I would keep it very very personal, then yeah, it will definitely shake things up. But if I would keep, then I would say that I am perfect the way that I am right now, and that I don't have anything to change.
Wow.
I think. Well, some people, no, most people won't agree on me with that.
That is a
Because of
beautiful
their own
one.
one, yeah, because of
Yeah.
their own feelings, yeah, yeah. So, and
Yeah.
I believe that for everyone actually. So that's like also a nuance. I believe that for everyone, so also for you and for all the listeners, you are already perfect as you are. Yeah,
Yeah. I do like that one
yeah.
because
Cool.
I think that will definitely that will mix up some feelings up for people.
Yeah, I'm
And
curious. If you want to let me know, then they're more than welcome to let
yeah,
me know
please
what
leave
it touches. Yeah.
some comments down below in that one. And what is the most important thing you learned in life, and what was your life before learning it, and why, and what was your life like after learning it? So what is the most important thing you learned in life?
Yeah, I think there are more things, but one of the most important things is that I am not behaving as a sweet girl, and that it is completely fine,
Mm,
and it's even better than fine. Like it's the best thing that I can do, um, to just be myself, and yeah, bringing that into the world actually. And I so before I learned that, before I really, really accepted that I was constantly struggling with the world to, yeah, as I said before, I am not sweet, but I as long as I'm not sweet, I don't fit into this world. But I cannot be sweet because that's not who I am. I will be very unhappy if I would become like behave like a sweet girl. So constantly the struggle. And when I found out that I'm just not a sweet girl, I'm not supposed to behave like a sweet girl, then it was such a relief. And then all the other real potential of who I am and where my real power is, it came to the surface. And yeah, made me the real me. So
yeah, that is quite beautiful because finally, yeah, you released the cookie monster, not the
yeah,
cookie monster.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so if you could have a billboard, so where everybody can see, what would the message be on the billboard? Or if that is not, if you don't feel that, like what are three truths you want to give to the world?
I would say on the billboard, the system is one big fuck up.
That's a fucking honest statement. Yeah. Yeah. Explanation point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, too.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, no, because that is also very important, that it is not about you, it is about the system that you are living in that is fucking you up. It's like one big mind fuck that keeps
yeah.
on telling you stuff that is not true actually. Uh, because people don't want to feel uncomfortable, you know? So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just, yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful. After we landed here, I stopped. Well, we haven't because we didn't have a television for years, and we don't have one here, and we will not have one. But also just stopped reading news and just
Yeah.
and just being with nature, in nature here with the chickens, and we have 2 pigs. And I feel much better actually, and I don't know what's going on out there. It's just like such a relief, because then you can start like building your own coming, yeah, you can build your own thoughts, and you come back to
Yeah.
kind of your own feelings. And I have great neighbors here, and we are building quite a nice community, so we're creating a little system outside of the world.
Yeah,
Outside
exactly.
of the
Yeah.
system.
Outside of the system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such an important thing. Yeah.
And
Just
then I like this one too. Give me your best tip on how to make the world a better place.
be uncomfortably honest whenever you feel like it. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Maybe you
tip.
can maybe you can have this as like a tune, you know,
Yeah.
for every podcast. But no, but I mean, yeah, just start feeling and start spreading that feeling. Start talking about what you really feel instead of what the other person would like to feel, or not, you know, holding back on what he's not wanting to feel or whatever. Just be completely honest. And that's, for me, that's just, as I said, it's like a natural thing to do. But in the relationship that I am in now with Robert, yeah, that's just, it's just completely normal for us to both feel, to both talk and express completely how we feel on a
Mm.
really deep level, not holding anything back, just being completely honest. And the funny thing is that, because when you are completely honest and when you are completely vulnerable, because those two things are coming from the same, you know, the same core, then there is no pain, because everything is just out in the open. And
Yeah.
that's such a wonderful way of dealing with stuff, because as I said before, then you just, the shit doesn't pile up, the pain doesn't pile up, it's just there, it's painful, you talk about it, you feel through it, and then it's gone. And then, you
Mm.
know, and that's, yeah, that's, I wish that for everyone to, and that starts with being honest to yourself and to the world. And it also starts with, to add one thing more, it also starts with being curious, because that's one of the most important things. Really, you know, start asking questions to yourself, like I call it unconditional curious, like without anything back, just really talk to yourself, you know, really be and listen to the answers, and not
Yeah.
trying to work around it or looking for a shortcut. No, just completely, yeah, as I said, uncomfortably honest to yourself and to the rest of the world.
I do have a question came to mind when you were saying that. How do we feel? I forgot the question as well, but how do we feel, like how do we feel if we are going in the right direction? How do we feel if we are honest to ourselves? Do you, because I think a lot of the inner guides that we're supposed to have from childhood on are broken, because you know, people say to us, oh, you cry, that's not true,
Yeah,
or that's not, you can't do that, or why would you do that? And but it's honest to us, we cry because I'm sad. So how do
yeah,
we come back to
yeah.
trusting the intuition?
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah.
inner knowing.
No, well, as I said, or as you said before, like stop watching the news, for example. Like that's
Mm.
just make sure that you are that you have time, that there is time in your life, that you are in silence, that you are in a quiet place, that you have time to hear your own thoughts and to hear your own feelings. That's a really important start. So step out of like the rat race and the constantly being turned on. Just okay, turn yourself off a bit and start listening. And as I mentioned before, also like, or no, I don't really mention it before, but you don't have to stop asking yourself questions like why. So you don't have to constantly look, I'm crying. Okay, but why am I crying? Why is this hurting? Why? No, you don't have, just cry, or why am I feeling sad? Just feel sad. You don't have to exactly know why. That comes later. So just start really like just feeling. Nothing in your head, nothing to try to explain, or no, just feel what there is to feel. When you wake up in the morning and you feel something, just feel it.
Yeah.
Without trying to put it like in a little box and oh, this is this trauma, or oh, this belongs to what I happened yesterday, or no, just start feeling. And then stuff will come up, and then eventually you will get more clarity.
That is such a good advice, actually. And I gonna tell you in a short story, right? Because I had my accident when I was quite young, and I just, sucked everything up. I just was brave as fuck, and I got home, and I got quite depressed but I was holding everything in because I was told by my dad, actually, it was time to get over this shit. But I was feeling all these feelings, and I went to the doctor, and she just gave me a pill. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I was just closing up, sucking everything in. And I think also I did that, of course, in childhood. So, and then years later, I met this guy in Copenhagen who is a body worker. And so I was getting some treatments to release all that. So he was allowing me just to feel. So he would touching me in places of the body to let the body also release it and feel it. I was swearing in both German and Danish and English. I was screaming, I was crying, and that within 1 minute, my body finally allowed to release all this shit that just had piled up. And I went back, and the first time I went there 3 times. It was like exploding. I was thinking, oh my God, he's gonna leave the room soon with all the German words I could speak. And then it got less and less. And the last time I was so peaceful because I finally just, with a stranger, just allowed myself to feel the accident, feel the trauma from the childhood, and just fucking release instead of holding it in.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's a perfect story to decorate my.
Because by why I'm saying that, because you're so right. Instead of always like, oh, but it's just let the body react. That's
without the ratio taking over instantly. That's what we're used to, like, oh, but explanation, but that's the male energy we don't want. We just talked about it. We need female energy, and that's just giving in to what is there, what you really feel.
And that is because when I also, again, after the accident, I went to a psychologist, and we kept on talking about it, right? We kept on talking, actually implementing it almost in the body, like the trauma from it. And then also years later, or when I also went to Bali, this about just releasing it, not fucking talking about it. There's no solution. I had a fucking accident. The guy next to me died. What is there to talk about? Like, and of course it is sad and traumatic, but the release of it, the body release, the crying, the screaming, the kicking, was so much better and bigger for me than constantly talking about it.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about it is also, no, it's just, I wanted to say it's also because that's the only thing we can as women, because we cannot scream and we cannot, because we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to use our power because that's, the sweet girl. The sweet girl is just talking, and keeping everything in. But that's not what we need. We need the power. We need the release to really feel our power and really express ourselves in talking and in all the other ways that there are to express yourselves.
And I see that is so funny when you talk about that, because we did in Portugal, actually, when we were packed somewhere else, Jens did some wrestling sessions with we were actually I think there was only another guy there, but there was just women. And whoa, because it's you and it is just one simple exercise we do where we have to constantly move against him, and the rage that came up, like the tears that came out of these women was incredible. And it left me thinking, actually, we need more of that. And Jens were just there to hold the space, right, to hold the power against, so we could actually release this. And it was quite beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think we should, you're so right. We should be allowed to do that, scream and kick and fucking cry.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any question I should have asked you, but I didn't?
No, I don't think so. I think
Good.
I told a pretty complete story. You asked me good questions.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we went actually we went completely off course compared to the question I asked you in the beginning, but I think we went much deeper into this whole feeling about the sweetness. So I feel there's so much value in this podcast, and
yeah. Oh man, I cannot wait to share it with my network of men and women.
All of them. No, it's I always love the conversation. I feel like this one really went deep. There's some really, really good topics that needed to come to the surface.
Yeah.
Surface. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last little bit boring question: where can people find you? Because if they want to contact you, come in contact with you and get a little honest slap.
Yeah.
So so where can they find you? Are you still using good old Instagram and all that stuff?
No Instagram anymore for me. No.
So yeah, no.
It so didn't work for me. Well, if we're talking about unconditional honesty, I couldn't find it on Instagram anywhere. So people didn't like my completely honesty. So no, it was not working. So no Instagram anymore. I'm on Mastodon. I don't know if people know it, but it's a new kind of social media platform. But better if they just go to me and my husband's website. It's called Geef Economy or Give Economy. And then they will find anything there. So there are links to our YouTube channel and to Mastodon and to LinkedIn or whatever. So yeah, and it's completely translatable in English, so people can write or read some articles or watch the other podcasts that we made. So yeah, it's all there.
That's good. So I will just link that below, because I think that's the easiest.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on here today, Petra.
You too.
I loved it. It was perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Me too. Thank you so much.